Stand up the Vanguard. Yeah, Dempster, this is really not gonna catch on.
Really now.
Hi.
Okay.
Hello everybody. My name is Captain. I have with me Dempster and Leon with me. And this is our so-called podcast format where we're just gonna be like grumpy old men sitting around drinking tea and talking about cards.
But there's one difference. We do not have coffee or tea with us here, so the only things we have are cards. Can
But
we live
why?
Consider we're old, so. And joining us, of course, here we have Isa and later we have Ben and John join us in the middle of it, so you probably might hear that. But anyway, let's just get straight down to the business. So, G-BT01 has been out for quite a long time. We understand that this is a bit late, but you know, we still want to give you guys our so-called thoughts on it. So that's why we want to go straight into this. But first things first, guys. There's a lot of stuff in G-BT01. We've got cards for Kagero, we've got cards for Nova Grappler, OTT made a comeback, Royal Paladin as well. All these new stuff as well. So just let me get a quick brief on what is your brief impressions of the box.
We'll start with Kagero first. So Leon, you go ahead.
Wait, shouldn't we start with Gear Chronicle first? Gear Chronicle is ultimately the main style of this box.
Touche.
It's very the G rare, it's the generation rare, it's Chrono Command. So I say the box, since it's mainly focused on the new clan Gear Chronicle, okay, there's a lot of things that it has a similar mechanics to Kagero, honestly speaking. Instead of, it's mostly targeting opponents' rear guard by sending them back and having things going on here and there and whatnot. So it targets mostly to grade 2 and below. So it grasps a similar concept, just that it seems to have this cost issue between soul blasting and counter blasting. It's quite contradicting, and they also have their own sets of Legion and as well as their own set of unit cards that only they have that kind of sort of abilities and so on. Okay, now moving on to Kagero. I play Kagero, and for this set I felt a bit, what's okay if you are talking about just this GBT alone. Okay, the set itself is not very over boosted. It's decent. Everything is a single retirement, except for the strike unit they have for the triple R, which is
Root Flare Dragon, right?
Root Flare Dragon. Yep, Flame Emperor Dragon King. Root Flare Dragon. Yep, it destroys a lane, which is similar to the Petition set, but it's kind of hard to pull it off. Not say kind of hard, it delays from time to time. So it's still okay generally for Kagero in terms of boosting and a set on its own. So yeah, that's probably all I could say for Kagero.
Okay, I hate to pull you guys back a bit, but let's go back to Gear Chronicle for a minute, because the thing about Gear Chronicle is that it is a brand new clan. Yes, and then there's a lot of stuff. So Dempster, let me just ask you. I know you haven't really touched on the deck as much, but you've read some of the cards as well.
Yes.
So just tell us, what do you think the abilities, how Gear Chronicle works as the clan entirely?
Gear Chronicle, because it's a new clan, they're just starting out, so there are quite a lot of things they are still exploring with it. But the main specialty that Gear Chronicle has is to do with the manipulation of time, which I guess is probably the main reason why they put most of these effects of the cards as putting sending your opponent's rear guards to the bottom of the deck. So it's like sending them back in time, so you have to, or sending them like way into the future, so you have to keep on either shuffling your deck or just keep on recycling them up so you can call them out again. But like what Leon said, there is a cost issue right now for Gear Chronicle, because the Counter Blast and the Soul Blasting, they don't really work well together, and especially with the new Legion set, even though they have a Legion, it just doesn't seem to work well with the rest of the cards, which require the Generation Break skill. So I think the new Great Force for Gear Chronicle works better in a way, and I think the reason why they want to put Legion is because every other clan has a Legion, so they can't fall out, especially since they are a new clan. But I think in the future they might have more, so we won't know.
And speaking about Generation Break skill, oh yes, that's a new mechanics in this system, as well as striding. It's together, and Generation Break, it's a new thing to most people who plays Vanguard for so long. It basically focus on striding. Whenever you strike, when your strike unit is already in the Vanguard circle, it's considered a Generation Break 1, which is most of the support skill runs on that function other than the Ace, which runs on GB2. In short, Generation Break. So how do you guys feel about Generation Break, honestly?
Well, if you ask me, Generation Break added a brand new mechanic to the game itself. It's a very, very welcome addition to it, I feel. You know, being able to go into Grade 4, even though striding was quite foreign when they came out with the first Neo Messiah. And so, you know, everybody was wondering what was going on, and up to the box's release, the striding was a huge mystery. We didn't know what was it going to do, basically. I mean, there's a lot of mixed information going about left and right. I remember following everything, and you know, once we had that thing in our hands, it just became almost like a godsend, because not only is the triple drive check helpful in a lot of ways, because for me, because I played the Risers, and so, you know, one of the Risers' main flaws is the low hand, and so, you know, I have striding, so with striding I can just drop one unit and then suddenly I can triple drive check. I'm actually gaining back my hand, so I find that it's a very good advantage for myself. But yes, the Generation Break skill, it does put a limit into all the abilities that your units can do, but that kind of, like, you know, it makes sure that you're playing them at the right time. It's not like you're playing it early until you're rushing your deck. It looks like as if, like, with this new season, they are literally helping you, not say helping you, they are literally making you play the game more properly instead of ending swift early. I know there are some builds out there that focuses on ending swiftly early, but this allows you to extend the game and, you know, just make it much more enjoyable. So Generation Break, I feel, is a very welcome addition.
Okay, and the other thing I'd like to add up for my opinion about Generation Break is that it tends to have this setback. Whoever goes second tends to be in a much higher upper hand, especially Generation Break kicks in, and a lot of decks tends to face this. When a strike deck versus a strike deck, it becomes that, you know, who goes second, or you just misgrading on purpose just so that you can get that upper hand, which sometimes it does feel a bit tasteless from time to time. Because
you can say the same for Legion, actually, because Legion people can also stop you from Legioning.
Yeah, but at least Legion not so bad, because you're not restricted entirely for some of the cards. Because there's always an alternative. But let's say those decks that only activates when they're Generation Break has that issue.
Yes, they are pretty much useless at that point.
I remember when I was playing Victor, you know, I thought I could use Sazanda's skill, you know, straight away, but then I keep getting reminded, oh, Generation Break 1, oh wait, yeah, right.
Yeah,
right. So,
but of course, Generation Break, okay, let's be honest with ourselves. And Generation Break skill, all of them are quite sick when they happen. We must admit, it's almost game changing.
It is definitely.
It's almost game changing. But then there's cards that don't need Limit Break, that doesn't need Legion, they'll just come in and whoop.
Yes, so in a way, it's a plus and minus for the new mechanics, yes.
Yeah, plus and minus mechanics for a second. Okay, so let's just move forward a little bit right now. So, Dempster, you are the so-called Oracle Think Tank player, one of the Oracle Think Tank players on our team. So, what do you feel this boost for Oracle Think Tank, the return of Oracle Think Tank?
Okay, let me just sidetrack a bit and say I actually first started with the Aqua Force. So it was actually because of G-BT01 that allowed me to get in touch with Oracle Think Tank. It's totally not because of Misaki. She's my favorite character, by the way.
Such a biased bass.
Okay, but in all seriousness, this current new set actually gives quite a big advantage for Oracle Think Tank, because back then all the boosts are actually very mediocre, all the older sets, and they don't really do a lot on their own, because they usually require a lot of support from other cards in order to do something crazy. But for this new set, even though yes, it's true that you still need, you know, certain supports here and there, but they can usually function on their own, especially with the GB skills. And one interesting new ability that this new OTT set has is actually that instead of, you know, drawing cards from nowhere, it actually allows you to top a few cards and then pick whatever card that you want, and then sending the rest to the bottom of your deck. Which people would think, okay, maybe some people will filter the triggers out and put at the bottom, then, you know, just keep on recycling. It's like what card was that? Tsukiyomi back then, where you actually chain right and cycle the triggers back to the bottom. But here there's a difference because there's actually a stand trigger in the new set called, I can't remember what the full name was, but it's actually Nono. Nono is the new stand trigger for Oracle Think Tank, and her skill is, even though it's a GB1, her skill is, after the battle in which this unit boosts a rear guard after the attack, basically what you do is you can pay the cost, which is to Soul Blast 1, draw a card and send this stand trigger back to the deck and shuffle it. So once you're actually done with using other skills such as Susano's Break Strike skill, Kirin, no, not exactly Kirin, Taki Mikazuchi's skill, once you have filtered all the triggers back to the bottom, you can actually use the stand trigger to shuffle the deck up, so you can still have a chance of drawing, checking the triggers, and this makes this deck a bit more dangerous and intimidating. And it also gives Silent Tom a whole new reason to come back, which is what I do for my deck. I actually run 4 in there, so
yeah, your Silent Tom. I thought I was done with him.
yeah.
But you just had to bring him back, and then you just
Correct.
had to bring back all the old IMS from when we first played Vanguard and stuff.
Yes.
So that's really kind of shocking to me. But let's transition into that strategies. You mentioned the Generation Break 1 stand triggers.
Yes.
Yeah. Every clan that had released in this deck and in the future decks also, they all have stand triggers, stand trigger abilities. Gear Chronicle has one, Kagero has one.
Yeah.
Leon, the Kagero stand trigger.
Okay, I'm just not earlier when I was talking about Kagero, I wasn't in depth enough. Okay, now I'm gonna go in depth into the Kagero set for this series. Okay, basically, right now, the stand trigger for this set is also Generation Break 1. Okay, and his name is
If you don't know what we're doing right now,
okay.
we'll put a picture up right now, and then you can see basically what the setup is like. So basically, Leon is just reaching out for a computer right now. So.
Yeah, and I'm having a bit of sore throat at the moment. So anyways, his skill is that when a retired unit is retired during this turn, no matter the cost, no matter how it's done, okay, set. When it's done now, okay, your opponent's rear guard.
Okay, when it's done and then
Yeah.
You blast 10k to 1 unit. That's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, plus 10k to 1 unit. And there's ways you can chain it, and I gotta tell you how, because go figure.
yeah, it's the same for the Nova Grapplers one, because for me the Nova Grapplers was a nice addition to the set. Even if I was mainly focused on the risers, I built the Victor set, and the Victor set was actually the most, it's quite new to me because I'm not really used to stand. I'm more the kind of person that would really, that would literally just riser punch your face in with the double crits and the high power. So that's me. That was me. But for me to play Victor for a while, and then you going back to the talk about that stand trigger, the stand triggers for No Grappler, Energy Girl. You just put the boost on, and after that you choose the unit to stand. Now with this new set also for Nova Grapplers, they also came up for Masura Riser. Masura's Riser skill is that it will stand a Riser in the same column as him, and so that gave Perfect Risers a bit of more of the Nova Grappler characteristic. Yeah, the characteristic, and so that was really a welcome addition to me. And not to mention, the more Risers I have, the more I have to work with. So that's one thing. But Energy Girl, in terms of the set for Victor, Sazanda, one word, is basically Sazanda. Sazanda is a bitch, because Sazanda's skill is that every time this unit stands, he plus 5k, and there are so many ways to stand the unit. Victor's Generation Break Right skill, you have the rare Strider Vic 10, and then you also have your stand triggers as well, and other units that does the same as well. Energy Girl is among one of them, and it takes a lot of brain power to sort of, not just to count how many times it stands, how many triggers it has, but you also gotta count the fact that the usual combo you'd see with Sazanda would be, you call him in front of Rumble, which is your starting Vanguard for Sazanda.
That's why it's usually on chopping board on my list. But yeah. Then of course, on my end, it's like, since there's Victor and there's the OTT main ace, then there's Kagero's Dragonic Blade Master. That card is kind of special, don't you guys think?
Yes,
okay,
he's got quite an interesting skill from what I know.
Okay, usually for up to now, all the strike units, strike aces, right, all has the skill. Their GB2 is usually related to what they're supposed to do. Then there's Blade Master.
Yep.
What he does is that when you strike this turn, count plus 1, retire an opponent's rear guard of grade 2 and below. Okay? Fair enough. Okay, then his generation 2 kicks in. Plus 5k, 1 critical. Why? This does not make... Then you think in the long run, it actually makes sense. Because when you run out of counter blast to use to destroy things on the field, you have a double critical edge. It's not a lot, but it helps, you know what I'm saying?
It forces your opponents to guard something.
Yes,
actually.
because your opponent is already forced to keep calling units because of the retirement, and then there is this guy who kicks your face with 2 crits. Plus 5k, okay, I don't even need to call booster, it's fine, I don't have a booster, I'll just slap in your face with a double critical, it's fine. You know? But trust me, out of 10 games, I haven't even used the skill once. Usually my opponent is dead by then. Usually, or I'm dead.
Okay, we'll stick with Kagero for a while. Let's just get the elephant out of the room right now.
Okay.
Draconic Overlord, the cross.
The cross.
Hold on a second. You know, because Leon is the one that plays the deck, and me and Dempster are always the victims. So let's talk to the victims first. Dempster,
Okay.
what do you think of Draconic Overlord decks?
Well, the cross, my
The
goodness,
cross.
yes. Let's just say the end was scary enough when it first came out, and then we have the cross. The cross was okay until it says Legion with the end. I'm like, okay, I'm so done with this set right now. So basically, the cross is like a reassurance for the end. For the end, if I'm not wrong, the skill is if it hits, it does something, correct? And for the cross, it's like if it doesn't hit, right, it will still do something. So basically, whatever you do, you're screwed. Yeah.
Well, it is the same for me. I mean, you know, because for me, I just left downpowder because that's just how annoying it is to kind of deal and wonder which it is that you rather take.
Since he is a Persona Blast unit, normally he would be considered hard to get off because, you know, you only have 6 targets to use. However, what also sets him apart is that when you perform Legion, you can search for the Persona target. So it also makes the cross very versatile.
Yep.
So early game or mid game when you perform Legion, just search for the end. Or if you know your opponent cannot guard, just search for it. Or late game, if your opponent has to guard everything, just search for the cross. So it's also one of the few things that does set the cross apart.
That is one of the abilities that the cross has, and so it just makes the player itself. Let's now talk to the player himself right now.
Okay.
The cross is, you know, able to search for either the end or the cross.
Okay.
That is just annoying, I find. So, but you know, from your side of the field, how was it?
Okay, truth be told, okay, the card is strong, but not almighty. Okay, like I swear. The one thing about the cross is what Ben earlier mentioned, is a Persona Blast unit. And the worst is you need 2 sets of ammo. You have a machine gun loaded with an armor piercing shot and non-armor piercing. But when you actually pull it off, it actually becomes a problem for myself when I actually allowed to hit. Because 1, the end is a Counter Blast 2 skill. The cross is a Counter Blast 1 skill. And despite that, I can keep performing Legion. I keep filtering out and whatnot, Calamity Tower, Gum, all this, Wuha. But your grade 3s are cut down because all of them are your ammo shots. You cannot just call them out because when you call them out, it means 1 shot less. 1 shot less, your opponent will know because it's there. You can see it. So, and especially when DN / the cross player is forced to call out their ammo, that's saying something about their hand. It's a huge loophole right there. It's a big weakness. It's not just because you can search then I got all my things going on here. But if you're facing against an opponent that hits you faster than you could hit him, and you're forced to call this out, instantly your skill becomes useless. You're cornered faster than your opponent actually is. The only thing that makes him good is about his 22k attacking, you know? And your opponent will think twice whether to guard or not. I once goes up against the cross player myself. And when you know that he calls out the end or the cross from his hand, you're more or less safe because that very turn, you can force it out of his hand. The other one, because he has the PGU. Yes, usually by then it's a 4 damage to 5 damage game. So the card itself, it's so-so. I feel that it's not as powerful because honestly speaking, you want to talk about powerful, there is the Great. Draconic Overlord the Great. I played that too. I played all of the Draconic sets.
Yeah, you are a Draconic Overlord player.
Yeah,
so
I played since set 1 until today. The Great was the most overwhelming one comparing to all its counterparts. and Rebirth was probably following by behind because Rebirth when you break right and all hell breaks loose. But the Cross, it's it's okay. It's not that powerful, but it's not that weak either.
Okay. One more question before we move on to the other stuff as well. Because this is probably something common amongst all, maybe newbies, maybe new Kagura players. Draconic Overlord's cross ride. Is it really worth the plus 2k?
No, don't bother. You're wasting your time. Okay, the one thing about Overlord deck in general that they are slow. They're already slow. I swear to God, there's times I really just stood there and get my face caved in just because I couldn't ride up. Okay, even if I did, my skill couldn't kick off because it's too slow. You know what I'm saying? If you're just gonna waste your deck slot just to toss in 2 Overlords inside just so that you can cross ride, it's meaningless because the cross ride only kicks in during your turn because you're in Legion. Your main Vanguard is not the end, it's the cross instead, and the cross is not a cross ride. No, right?
Yeah.
It's not a cross ride, so it wouldn't have the 13 base. If it had, okay, then I'd say this card is actually pretty OP.
No, I mean if you're Legion and then you have Draconic Overlord.
There's no point still, no point. Because yes, it hits you for 25 this turn, but it's still not a magic number. It's still not the magic number. You might as well just call 6k booster and you make it 28.
Yeah.
It actually wouldn't make as much difference. Yeah, so because actually now Vanguard, almost all the Vanguards are 11k.
Okay.
Unless it's those sub Vanguards in those trial decks that has there's 10k, then fair enough. Otherwise, no, it doesn't really makes much difference, honestly.
Yep. Okay. So going on from trial deck, you know, the Royal Paladins. We haven't really actually mentioned once about the Royal Paladins. So currently in this room we have not many people that actually do play the Royal Paladins.
We do have one, John. Well, okay, from the user yourself.
From the user yourself, yeah.
How do you feel about the deck?
Right. Again, our setup is a little bit weird right now, so
So we have some adjustments here.
yeah, I have adjustments here.
So basically about Royal Paladin, I think it's quite consistent because of the superior core. Also because the Counterblast cost is cheap. Like one of my favorite deck which I'm using now is the Jewel Knights. There's this card, it's actually grade 2, it's a Jewel Knight. I forgot what it's named, but it looks like a leopard. It's 9k, yeah.
The promo set, the Legion promo.
The Legion
Promo,
promo,
yeah,
that one.
Yeah, that card is pretty very popular in Royal Paladin. You don't see it not only in Jewel Knight, but you also see it in like Sing Saber because of the free pluses. Because it's basically just Counterblast 1 and I call a free grade 1 cost, grade 1 unit. Which is good.
Okay,
Wouldn't that be like Wing Out, you know, Wing Out skill as well? Wing Out skill has the same ability, wouldn't it?
Wing Out Seeker.
Yeah, Wing Out Seeker.
Wingao Seeker.
Yeah.
It is basically a Wingout Seeker. However, the difference is that it's a grade 2. So the difference is that you can use it in any point of the game when you call it. And since it is again a grade 2, you're not restricted to you need to perform Legion, you need to stride, it has no restrictions whatsoever.
But I remember it's restricted to Jewel Knight calling, right?
Yes, the only restriction is just being a Jewel Knight.
Okay, one thing about this card, right? Compared to the Wingao, if I'm not wrong, you're supposed to Legion first, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to perform Legion first.
Yep.
You only call grade 2 and above.
Yeah, grade 2 and above when you Legion, but for this leopard, right, you do not need to Legion. You can actually use the skill immediately during your grade 2 phase. Which can give you a huge advantage because you can rush your opponent with it and give you free pluses as well.
Okay, we're kind of straying off from the box itself. Okay, what about the box? The GPO?
From what I noticed, in the new G-BT01 set, all the Royal Paladins focus on calling grade 2s specifically. So what do you think about these new cards?
Well, the grade 2s, you know, for Royal Paladins, it's always been a characteristics to superior core units, but the units that they called so far before this box has always been, you know, like low level units, grade 1s and below. And then grade 2 stuff that's actually kind of like one of the more higher, one of the more higher units that you'll find. So, yeah. But what do you think, John?
For the grade 2, right, I think it's actually a good boost because, you know, like cards like Blaster Blade, Spirit. It's a very old card, it's BT09. It's usable again because it's only Counterblast. It's only one cost for Counterblast, and when you call a fail, you can basically retire a grade 2 or higher rear guard.
And not only that, it's a 10k itself, so it actually hits quite hard.
Other than when you have a trigger, pokes, gone.
Yeah. So we know we kind of strayed a bit also, but you know the Strider for
correct.
Royal
Going
Party.
back to
What
this,
about
same blow dragon.
What about same blow dragon?
The same blow dragon.
I will call it low blow dragon. It hurts so much whenever this card comes out.
You
Yeah,
almost
we know-
kind of like said something wrong just now, there, didn't you?
But anyway, we know how painful this this card is. So John,
Actually, same blow is actually not bad, but I'll say that it requires some setup because you basically need 2 cards face up in the GB zone before you activate the
Which
effect.
most of the aces now has an issue.
yes.
Yep.
So this
Victor-
goes back to the main G mechanics that it is slow, but it is consistent for a lasting game.
Yeah,
rather
it-
than having your face caved in turn 2 and you're like, huh, what's going on? Yeah.
Yeah.
A major Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah.
Major Leon Dragons also. So it brings back that timing for the game to extend. So the timing for it's fine, but you know the ability itself. What about the ability itself?
The ability of same blow, right?
Yep.
Okay, basically same blow effect is when you have 2 or more rear guards, it gains the ability of +1 crit. But you need 2 face up units in the G zone in order to activate this card. After which this card gains 3k for each rear guard when you attack your opponent Vanguard.
Which you already have some of the G units in the draw deck, right?
Yeah, which the G unit that you use normally with same blow will be Goblet.
Yeah,
Which is also another popular G unit because its skill is basically when you hit the opponent Vanguard, you can call a grade 2 unit. And earlier when you mentioned about the new units that call grade 2 support, you can use this to combo with that card.
Yeah, that very grade 2 that when boosted, doesn't matter whether it hits or not, it still calls another grade 2. So normally what people do from what I see is when they strike to Goblet and they attack, if it hits, that's in the situation where it hits, it will call that grade 2 card out, and then that grade 2 attacks, and then it calls out a 12k attacker, so it's kind of painful.
Flip table.
Kind of. Okay, yeah. So stick with the striding units as well, because one of the clans that we haven't talked about for striding is Gear Chronicles.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Speaking of Gear Chronicle,
Basically the generation rare one, which
Yes,
is
Chronos
the
Command Dragon.
Chronos Command Dragon, which is when I first read the text, that was like the most insane thing ever.
Yes.
It's like your entire field is immediately gone, sent
Yeah.
back in time to the bottom of the deck. I was like, what?
Exactly.
why would you do that to me?
And
What's funny was that, you know, I read back that card again just before we did this podcast, and I still got shocked by the ability. That's just how unique this card was,
Yes.
and the fact that it was a generation rare also.
Correct.
So this card would definitely be sought after, and definitely be expensive.
Yes, you can tell how
definitely.
powerful it is.
Okay, although I feel as though sooner or later I'm going to be taking over this podcast because I played this deck for a while as well. Because I needed to try this deck. Because I felt that it had some connection with Kagero, but after a while I was like, not so much. Because it runs very differently. Because the deck, okay, now really going to the detail of Gear Chronicle is that the deck doesn't just send things back to the bottom of the deck. Okay, things happens when you send things back. But soon, we realize that this deck has other focuses as well as skills similar towards Silent Tong and even Glory Maelstrom. Okay, what happens is that there's some cards that run in this deck that blocks off your opponent's guarding units, such as like your opponent can use grade 0 guard, which is a Legion Mate.
Yes.
Yep.
And then there is Chrono Jet Dragon himself.
Yep.
Okay, with GB2 plus 5k, and your opponent cannot use 0 to guard. 0 or 1 was it?
I believe it's 0.
There's
Zero.
some cards that is 1.
Yeah. 1 is Ragnar Clock.
Yeah.
Yes.
One is
Ragnar
Ragnar
Clock.
Ragnar
Yes,
Clock.
Ragnar Clock. When you combine Ragnar Clock with Chrono Jet, right, things goes down the hell faster than your Chrono Command, honestly speaking. Chrono Command is just, hit. Whew, go.
Yeah, but don't forget, when you strike to Ragnar Clock, right, you can only use Ragnar Clock skill. There's a reason why they do not want to pick up the skill from Chrono Jet Dragon.
Yes, exactly. But immediately after the chain from Ragnar Clock, right, Chrono Jet kicks in.
Yes.
It's gonna be a whole world of it. This is usually the combo. It's usually 4 Chrono Command and then 4 Ragnar Clock. For Ragnar Clock, because of it, you need 2 face-up GB units, G units. So,
Which is the same as any of the other,
Yeah.
like Victor Plasma and Takemi Katsuchi.
Yes.
Right?
yeah, all the aces are all like that.
Yeah.
So, and Chrono Command is probably the cheapest cost for sending things back.
Mhm.
Because honestly speaking, Gear Chronicle has already have a lot of things that send things back. They just have a few cards that actually acts as a finisher, including Chrono Jet Dragon himself. Okay, from other players' perspective, as in facing opponent, what do you guys think?
Okay, regarding Chronos Command, I'm not sure if I think some will disagree with me, but I personally think that Chronos Command is okay.
Just okay. That's it.
No, I mean, okay, but seriously, I feel it's more of an overhyped card of what most people think. Because, for example, it's also his timing. For example, if he's more of a mid-game on-hit card, of which early game most people would not really commit to the field too early, unless they really want to Zerg rush the person. And even then, it also does depend, as this cost is also very heavy in by Gear Chronicle standards.
As well, we mentioned about his cost issue because it runs on both counter blast and soul blasting.
Yep.
Yes.
Definitely.
But in terms of Gear Chronicle, what do you think of in terms of the cost compared to Kagero in terms of burning? Do you think that it's cheaper cost compared to Kagero?
Okay lah, there's a give and take. Give and take, honestly. As a Kagero player, I feel there's a give and take. Gear Chronicle, because it's on hit skill. It's on hit skill. And sometimes when I have nothing there, I like 1 or 2 units, do you really want to counter blast 2 and soul blast 1 just to send that 2 units back?
And we also discard one card.
And discard 1 card too. You really think that will worth it? Okay, unless my field is like filled out with things like all the jewels and whatnot, you know. No pun intended to jewel knights, but yeah, like close enough. I mean, comparing between getting slapped in the face by Chrono Command if you're a Kagero or if you're a jewel knight is gonna suffer bigger than your Kagero would. Because hell, there's definitely more things to send back. But for Kagero, by Kagero's cost, it's optional. He shoots off 1 unit at a time. That means even you have 2 there, you make sure nothing's landed. You make sure your field is like a land, it's like a wasteland. Unless you're musketeer, you flood with weed. Then that's fine.
Flood the green.
Yes.
420 blazing.
Yes, there's bling bling here, all shit going on. But yeah, otherwise, really, if you're talking about cost, right, these two are comparable between the two. Just that who is best used in a certain situation.
There's one more card we did not mention from Gear Chronicle, and that's the other G4 from the trial deck, which is Mystery Flare Dragon.
Yeah,
that one has the most unique skill I have seen everywhere. Because basically on hit, right?
Yeah.
On hit, you top 4. If they are all of different grades, 0, 1, 2, 3. Counter blast how many again? 4 was it?
Counter blast 4, yeah.
Yeah, you get another turn. So basically your opponent's just a sitting duck, and I think you can call that a final turn already.
Yeah, that's the thing I just want to ask you guys, because this will be like a quick poll. Mystery Flare Dragon skill, yay or nay?
I think it's...
Can I have a middle of that?
Yeah, I would say that too, because the chances of actually pulling that off is not very high. But at the same time, when it does happen, you can just basically concede the game.
But since Mystery Flare it has that kind of very interesting skill, right? And you just in case those who are not aware, there's a new format coming out called Extreme Battle format for tournaments, which you can toss in whatever official card that Bushido has released up to date into a deck. So you can have a mixed clan or whatnot, or the hoo-ha. And imagine you put it in a Noble Vic deck. I have one more Great Research. I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Can you not?
Why not? It's gonna be a sick thing to play, but at the same time, the skill is contradicting to Kagero, honestly.
Yes.
You know this is going live on YouTube as well, right? So people are gonna be stealing your idea.
Just carry on, I can't stop you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
There's like millions of people, and there's definitely be 1 or 2 people, or a few thousand people with the same idea. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yep.
But yeah, Mystery Flare. For me, even though it is a nay for me, there are some times that we do want to guard him still because of the simple reason. We do not want to be screwed over by luck because we could help it.
You know what I mean by yay or nay, right? It's like, is it good or is it not good?
It's not good, but despite that, sometimes we would still guard it regardless because we do not want to be screwed over by luck, of which we could have done something about it.
It's like that moment I got him there, then suddenly, is that 4 different grades?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh no.
because of like, we could have helped it, was just like...
But for a fun card, for a card, I think it's actually quite fun to play.
Yeah,
It is a very
I think
fun card.
I think people cheer more for when you actually get an extra turn rather than you actually win your opponent, because that is really very hard to pull off.
It's like trying to buy a lottery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
The one in the million chance indeed. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So, okay, the last thing that the box has, the new Create Elementals. Mostly they've all been. It's actually in this box. It's actually just a strike unit itself, right?
Oh yeah, we haven't
Atmos,
touched on those
yes.
things. Okay, Create Elemental, this is godsend. That card, those things are godsends. Like seriously, because without them, other clans that has not received their strike has an upper hand anyway. Because the one thing good about striding is that all of the decks from all the pre-series all can use them.
Yes.
And that helps to upkeep the game. I once rebuilt a Blazing Flare deck and whoop ass because I have tried. But the Clay Elemental really helps with those decks that doesn't have it, like Dimensional Robo at the time, Dark and Regular, Shadow Paladin, whoever, hoo-ha. It was really helpful.
And there were also actually some tournaments out there that actually restricts you to a G format, not in the sense that only GBT decks can be used, but in a basic way in that so long as you have a G unit in your deck, you can use it as a tournament. So people who do not have the strike supports, I can actually use this Queer Elemental cards in order to enter the tournament as per normal. They don't have to strike, they just need to have the G unit there and they can still whoop your ass.
Yeah, which of course we've got to touch upon the G assist mechanic as well.
Yes. G assist basically it's a good addition to the whole G mechanic in which if you misgrade you still have a chance to redeem yourself, but it is also a double-edged sword because if you actually do require a card that as in you do have a card in the top 5 that allows you to ride on, you'll be forced to drop two cards from your hand and the G unit to the out of zone play, which basically means you have less cards to play with. So in a way it's good and in a way it is also bad. Some people would choose to just misgrade all the way and see what happens, but some people who actually need the support will have to use it.
Yeah, I remember guys, because we used to always, misgrade, then just go ahead and reshuffle.
Believe in the heart of the cards, man.
Yeah. Now
that you got GSS now, so if you mess up, it's fine. So yeah. So I guess your final thoughts on the box after we've discussed everything across Chrono Command.
It gives me a new reason to dig out old cards, basically.
Yeah, well, for me, I play Victor Plasma. Victor Plasma was something new because for me it's like my own version of the end. I know a lot of people would say Stern, but I've went up against so many Kagero players, so that's why I just call it my own personal version of the end.
Well, I would say break it. The set is just, it really breaks a lot of limits to a lot of other decks. Don't say limit break, but there's really a lot of things that it really broke the barrier.
Don't say limit break.
What was that? Was that a reference to a certain song?
Don't be surprised if Dempster or myself decide to put this in the background. So.
Yeah. What about you guys?
So yeah, as another Nova Grapple player, I'll say the support is pretty good.
I hate you.
You're very welcome.
Oh yeah, you care about support because you got your Beast Deity Limit Breaker, don't you?
Yeah.
I think it's in the frog suit.
But yeah, in terms of clan distribution support, I'll say it is much better compared to the previous sets. Like for example, in season 3, I would say set 13, for example, Grand Blue had 8 cards.
Yeah, which is actually very
for
sad.
Something which they hadn't had support in almost more than a year.
Since the ancient times.
But you do realize that the next box, the Royal Paladin's only got 4 cards.
Yeah.
In GBT.
But that's also because Royal Paladin already has a trial deck to boost it, so...
Yeah, but then I guess that's another comment for another video. So
yeah.
I think the booster have given Royal Paladin enough support, so it doesn't matter that the next set has only 4 cards. Because I find it that it's really sufficient booster. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll end with that.
She didn't boost herself for this set, so I guess we'll have to sign off now.
So she doesn't even royal. Do you even?
Okay.
No, she shadows. Okay. Well, I guess that wraps up for our discussion. I'll sit down for G-BT01. So we'll be doing this more often. We're gonna be talking more about the releases of the new boxes and stuff. And so we keep doing this, and so just look forward to it. So as usual, please like, share, favorite, subscribe, and we have a Twitter account also. Follow us at Crossbones VGS. Dempster, just put it up there for us.
Yeah, I'll put it up.
Yeah, you put it up there. So so you can just give us a follow on Twitter as well, and we have a blog, Crossbone Vanguards at WordPress.com. So .wordpress.com. So
okay.
Yeah. So, but other than that, so thank you for joining us.
And leave your comments below.
Leave your comments below, your thoughts as well. We'd like to hear from you guys as well. So
this is a discussion. It's open.
This is a discussion. So if you agree with us, you disagree with us, just be nice. Yeah, we read this and then just don't homer us, okay? So.
Okay, thank you very much
Alright,
for
thank you so
listening.
much, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.